Welcome everyone to
One to
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Oh, I
I
could
could hear my
let me mute Steve.
mute
Okay,
Steve. Okay.
there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans. Today is January 24th. Excuse me, February 24th, and that should tell you where my head is today. Hopefully, Matt pops in on the call to join us very soon. He must be running late at an appointment, but I know for sure that Miss Laura is not going to be joining us today. She is out in Chatsworth, California at the National Notary Association. Oh, thank God. Here comes Matt. Whew. I want to I want to give a very special welcome to anybody who is joining us for the first time. This is TNT, the nation's longest running free coaching program for notaries, and a very special hello to anyone who is joining us on YouTube after the fact. Thank you for being here, for joining us later. And Matt, thank goodness you're here. I just I just made you co-host. All right. We are going to start the way we always do, and that is with our announcements. But guys, you are here today on TNT. You are stepping into a mastermind that feels like spring for your business, fresh energy and new growth, and a community of experienced pros and curious, driven notaries who truly want to see each other thrive. That's TNT. We go live every week to plant new ideas, nurture what's already working, celebrate real progress, and coach you through the strategies that help your business bloom instead of feeling stuck in a long winter season. Now, questions that you put in the chat may or may not be answered. Priority is always given to those who raise their hands. And on this call, you can ask us anything. No questions are off limits. You will find your raised feature the way Celicia did at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And you guys are welcome to start raising your hands now to get in line. Thank you, Celicia, for leading the way. We will get to your question in just a moment. You can look in the chat to find the room etiquette, any rules, announcements, or if we have any speaker information coming up. We don't have a speaker this week, but we do next week. So I'll be announcing that shortly. You can also check the chat for upcoming events, things that you don't want to miss. But let me start today by introducing myself. My name is Jen Neitzel. I am the creator of Marketing for Notaries, the co-creator of the Certified Notary Trust Delivery Agent Training, and author of On the Move. I am joined today by the president of the League of California Notaries, Mr. Matt Miller. Hi, Matt.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry to be late, but I'm here now and ready to go.
Thank God I was literally, I went into like panic mode at 2:15 when I did. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to try and remember technical answers. So thank God you're here, Matt. I don't know what we would do without you. Um, let's we're also going to be taking a poll today. Laura, Matt and I made an announcement last week that we were talking about changing the time beginning April 1st, no fooling, of this call to a morning call to 8 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. And you guys had some strong feelings about it. So I have created a poll, which I will share with you in a moment. I want to give everybody the opportunity to get in the room and get settled. So at about the halfway point, Matt, will you help me remember that we need to launch that poll? And that way you guys can tell us yes or no about the time change. And we want to make sure for the next few weeks that we are polling you. If it's determined that more people don't want the time to change, then we won't change it. We are here for you guys. So please give us your honest opinion. Like I said, Laura is not going to be joining us today. She's at the NNA, but she will be back with us, I believe, next week. Now, I do want to tell you if you are not already a CNTDA, a certified notary trust delivery agent, our next webinar is coming up on March 7th, and you can register at the link in the chat. Um, and I told you that next week we're going to be having a special guest. We will be joined by guest panelist Sue Hope with Notary Assist. So if you have some burning tax questions, because guys, we are right there, it is tax time. If you have some burning tax questions about your business, please feel free to bring those next week. Sue will be with us for the whole hour as one of our panelists, answering all of your questions. Now, we have been working, and by we, I mean Matt Miller, has been working on getting some signatures together to pass AB 1597, which is for California notaries to increase, modernize their notary fees. Matt, you have a goal of 1,500 letters. You are
Yes.
currently at 1,200.
Yep, we are 1,200 and counting. This is incredible momentum, and I really think it's a reflection of the dedication of this community. But for those who don't know, AB 1597 is an effort to increase notary fee caps in the state of California so that current notaries can stay in their commissions and realize the increased cost that they have faced in recent years, and so that potential new notaries can come into the field knowing that they can meet the costs that they face of delivering a mandated public service. So it's not just about raising fee caps. This is also about preserving and expanding access to consumers to notarial services. And guys, this is a real problem in California because we now are the state with the lowest per capita notaries to population. We have about 138,000 notaries to serve all 30 million people, and that is a real problem. So that
Wow.
is the main effort behind this campaign. It's going well. The legislature is very receptive. However, the Judiciary Committee, where the bill is currently assigned, has said we want to see that notaries and Californians and those that work with notaries are serious. So if you haven't already sent your letter of support, you can go to the link in the chat right now and do that. If you have already sent your letter of support, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's help to multiply the impact and ask one more person to register their support as well. It can be a friend or neighbor, a family member, a client, a colleague, someone that works in the legal, real estate, or small business fields. Anybody can participate in this, guys. And for those who are out of state, you can participate too and pay close attention to this because if we the notaries can get this done in California, we can get it done in other states as well. So I appreciate your participation and encourage you guys to go take a look at that.
Yeah, what you're doing, Matt, and this is an important discussion because this doesn't just affect notaries in California. It doesn't matter what state you're in. When one state begins modernizing those fee structures that we've been bound by for so long, it shifts things across the country. And so it's very important that we imagine if we had all 1,200 people who've already filled out this form that Matt created, just sent it to one more person to fill out, how many signatures we would have. And guys, you cannot say, and this was in my email that I sent out earlier about this today, you cannot say that you want to be treated like a professional and then sit out when legislation impacts our industry. It'll take you less than a minute to fill out this pre-filled form. We keep referring to it as a letter, which makes you wonder, do I have to write something to the legislator of California? No, you don't. Matt has a form. You just go in and add your information. I think Jeff Clark said it took 73 seconds. So just
Yeah, we put a lot of effort behind this to make it easy for you guys. So
yes,
we got a lot
yes.
of work to do on our end because we will be delivering the letters to the Judiciary Committee. But all you guys have to do is go on the form letter system. It'll do all the work for you.
Yeah, and you've got a special town hall coming up about this
Yes.
on the 26th, which is in 2 days. You guys can find information on that in the chat. And I strongly encourage you to come. Like I said, if we want to be taken seriously as professionals, it's time for us to get involved.
You got to put some skin in the game.
We got to get some skin in the game. So, Matt, we're so appreciative of all the hard work you've done because I know this has been a very heavy lift for you. So,
Look at me.
he lost all his hair because of it. Oh my God. Oh God. And we're joking, obviously. Um, let's get into some of our questions. Celicia and Larry have been waiting patiently. Let us start with our friend Celicia
Hey,
in
everybody.
Jacksonville. Hey, girl, what's up?
Oh, it looks like we got a wedding coming in here, but let me get quickly to my question. Young lady came in with a Jamaican passport application, and one of the things on the Jamaican passport application, she got married here last year and she wants to change her name, is that we're supposed to notarize the picture.
Huh?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it says the official who certifies this application is required to certify the reverse side of one of the photographs with the following inscription. I certify that this is a true photograph of Mary Johnson, applicant's name and note date of certification.
Hmm.
I don't know what to do. Can I do that?
Let's see. I don't know if Florida permits its notaries to certify the likeness of an image, but
I
I do
don't,
know you can do a copy
I could do
certification.
a copy certification and add that to it, but I just
Let
wanted to keep it right, keep it, up and
hmm
up.
hmm
But that was the first thing I said was copy certification in my mind.
Now, yeah, 'cause we're in a similar situation in California. There is, I know of at least one state that does allow their notaries to do this, which is Montana. But in California, we are not allowed to do that as well. However, you can still sign across the back of it, so long as you don't stamp it or put your
No,
your
not
your
stamping it.
stamp.
It doesn't say to stamp it, right?
Okay. So you could still sign across the back of it.
Okay.
But let me dig in to your handbook and your code and see if I can find anything on that. Will you be around for a bit?
I will be around. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Good luck with that wedding that just walked in. Thank you, Celicia. That's a great question. And I started looking it up too, but Matt, thank you for taking that over. And we will get her a question or an answer here shortly. Larry, out in the Bay Area, good afternoon. How are you today, my friend?
Good afternoon, Jen. I'm doing well. I'm doing better, I should say. Um, my question, it's not really a question. It's kind of a, I don't know, maybe discussion point. I have been studying the because I have to renew my license, my commission at the end of the year. So I've been studying the NNA education, and it came up with something that I don't remember ever seeing before, ever
Okay.
encountering an
Ooh, what's
act that
that?
I've never heard of. It's called proof of execution by subscribing witness. And
Mm,
it's supposed to be a process where a subscribing witness, someone that both you and the signer know, can meet
mhm,
with just the signer. The signer like tells them and signs the document, then this person can bring this to you. The subscribing witness can bring it to us as notaries, and we're supposed to notarize that. And it can only take place of an acknowledgement, but you don't use an acknowledgement form. There's supposed to be a specific form for that. I've never heard of such a thing. And I keep thinking, talk about a big loophole that could possibly somehow lead to like fraud because I listen to a lot of YouTube videos and they're always talking about my evil cousin stole the house that was left to me in inheritance with a fourth document from a notary who wasn't paying attention. And I'm like, where do they come up with these things? But I'm thinking this could be a way that this could actually happen because from what I remember, it doesn't say anything about you having to prove that the signer did this. All they have to do is a subscribing witness present you with a document and say, this is how we're doing it. And you use that form. Has anyone else ever done these things or heard about this sort of thing? I've never heard of it.
Matt, you are our California expert.
Yeah, Larry, this is an authorized act for California notaries. It's called proof of execution by subscribing witness. It is in the mandatory curriculum and on the exam. However, I I have never met a single notary that has performed one of these acts because the requirements for it are very, very, very strict. So first off, the subscribing witness must prove or say under oath that the person who signed the document did sign it and knows them, right? They have to know the person. That's step one. They also have to say under oath that the person was the person who signed, the principal was the person who signed it and acknowledged signing it. They must swear to you to that. They also must have their identity established by a witness of oath of a credible witness whom they know and you know. And that's generally the stopping point for a lot of proof of execution by subscribing witness because it's very difficult to find a witness who knows the subscribing witness and knows the notary as well. Then the subscribing witness must sign the notary public's journal and all of that as you normally would. And there is, in fact, a special certificate for this under Civ Code 1195 with very specific wording that says this is what happened, this is how it happened, this is the name of the witness, this is the name of the credible witness, and then you can sign and stamp that. But you're right, it can only be used for an acknowledgement because another person can't take an oath for the principal, right? So it wouldn't work for a jurat. And also, while there's nothing specific in the handbook that I'm seeing right now, I would imagine with today's environment of deed fraud, if someone tried to record a real property deed of conveyance having been executed via proof of execution by subscribing witness, it would likely be rejected. So I know that this exists and it's very, very complicated, but I haven't performed one and I don't know of a single notary that has performed one. If someone has performed a proof of execution by subscribing witness and done it properly, because what we find is notaries don't do it properly, they miss one of the steps. I'd like to hear from you in the chat.
Yeah, please feel free to put that information in the chat to um, speak to Larry's question. And thank you for bringing that up today, Larry. I think that's important, especially when, it's such a unusual circumstance. I'm glad that you were checking on it.
Let me just because this is so confusing and it's so unique to California, let me just give an example of how this might work. So let's say that the principal, Paul, wants to have his signature notarized on a document. Paul's in the hospital and can't appear before a notary public, even though we all know that they can. But anyways, so Paul asks a longtime friend, Sue, to visit the hospital and act as the subscribing witness. So when Sue comes to the hospital, she must watch Paul sign the document. And if Paul has signed the document prior to Sue's arrival, he could acknowledge it to Sue as having signed the document. Then Paul should ask Sue to sign the document as a subscribing witness, and she must do so. Next, Sue then would take that document to a notary. Sue chooses Nancy Notary, for example, as the notary public. Sue must bring a credible witness with her to see Nancy Notary. And Sue chooses Carl, a longtime friend, as a credible witness because Carl has worked with Nancy Notary for several years. Therefore, Carl can act as Sue's credible witness because he knows Sue and he knows Nancy the Notary. So then Sue and Carl appear before Nancy Notary. Nancy determines that Nancy personally knows Carl and also examines Carl's California ID or any acceptable ID. Then Nancy puts Carl under oath. And under oath or affirmation, Carl swears or affirms that Carl personally knows Sue, that Sue is the person who signed the document as a subscribing witness, and Carl does not have a financial interest in the document being signed by Paul as subscribed by Sue and is not named in the document signed by Paul. Then Nancy puts Sue under oath. And under oath or affirmation, Sue then swears or affirms that she personally knows Paul, that Paul is the person described as the party on the document, and that she watched Paul sign the document or heard Paul acknowledge to her that he signed the document. Sue then signs the notary public journal as she normally would as a subscribing witness. Carl must also sign Nancy's journal as being the credible witness for Sue. And then, of course, Nancy Notary must record all of this in her journal and how she identified Carl as well. So as you can see, this is a very multi-layered, very complicated act that was developed before the advent of remote online notarization and the mobile notary, right? This
Mhm.
was back in the days when you had to go to the notary office or the bank or the library or wherever. So as you can see, it's really an outdated act that isn't really used anymore. And to your point, Larry, a lot of receiving agencies are very, very wary of it because it's not the principal appearing before the notary, it's someone else.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would fly on any real estate document at all, like anywhere. But thank you so much for bringing that up, Larry. What an interesting conversation. We all learned something new today, I think. So I appreciate that. Guys, this seems like a really good time to launch that poll. We are just shy of the halfway mark. So let me open this up. I've never done this before. Okay.
There it goes.
Did it open?
It
Okay.
did. Hmm.
So you guys can tell us yes or no. Should we change the time for TNT? And we are going to, Matt and Laura and I agreed we are going to do what you guys tell us to do, right, Matt?
We do our best.
We'll do our best. But thank you. Thank you for taking a few moments and participating in that. I'm going to leave it up for just a moment so everybody can get that information. Who else has questions for us before I go into our question form? Is there anybody that wants to raise their hand and get us a question?
No one has a question?
No one has any questions, Matt. It's because they come to this call every week. That's
Yeah,
why.
they're just so smart.
There.
Well, let me go back to Celicia's question because I was able to find a little
Oh,
bit of
good. Yes.
information.
Awesome.
So, no, a Florida notary cannot directly certify a picture of someone. However, they could do what's called a copy certification by document custodian, or what is often referred to as an affiant statement. So, I hope you're listening, Celicia, because what you could do is you could have your customer uh, write a statement to the likeness of that picture, and then you could notarize their signature on that statement. But I think that's about the best you're going to get in Florida. The other alternative would be to hook up with an online notary in Montana, where I know for sure they can certify the likeness of a photograph.
Well, there you go. Good question. I bet she's busy. She said she had a wedding walking in to perform. So, Larry, go ahead. You have your hand up.
Well, okay, since there aren't any other questions at the moment, I also saw something on the University of YouTube or Facebook and one of the notary groups that I found interesting. This lady had posted a question about because and the reason it struck me is because we have had that discussion on Laura's inner circle about the senior and junior designation in your name and the
Mm,
fact that it's unlikely that a person would have senior on their ID because you don't become a senior until there is a junior. And
mm,
I guess her issue was an agency was trying to make her just take their word for it that we know that you're doing senior, junior's being done elsewhere, just do the documents. And she was
mhm,
insisting on a redraw to take senior off the document. And it's this story that went on. They got into a big fight and they kicked her off the signing and like, we may not use you again unless you work with us. And I'm just, again, thinking about has anyone else run into that? I've not run into the senior junior issue before, but you would think that they would know better than to put that on the document since it's not like, as Laura said, it's not really a legal designation because
Mhm.
unless you go out of your way to have your ID redone, you're not going to have ID with senior on.
You know, Larry, I saw that same post, and what I walked away with was extreme uh, gratitude for that notary. because she stuck to her integrity despite whatever her hiring party was telling her. And guys, the junior senior situation is one of the highest occurring fraud methods out there.
Mhm.
And, you know, title companies just want to get things done. And, you don't really answer to them. You answer to your governing body, which in most states is the governor's office or the Secretary of State's office. And if something should go awry, if you're on the hot seat, they're not going to be there for you. So I have never had that happen where I couldn't prove it by way of other supporting documentation. Sometimes people don't get their driver license updated right away. It's a similar situation when someone gets married and takes the last name of their partner. Someone could have a child, but their driver license isn't going to be up for renewal for 6 years or whatever it is. But sometimes they'll have other documentation in their wallet that would support the senior or the junior. So long as you can meet your statutory requirements first, right? You're shown a government acceptable government ID with the picture of that person on it, and the name matches and the physical description matches, and you're comfortable with that, then you can start asking for what else you have in the wallet. Do you have a Costco card? Do you have a credit card? Do you have anything else that would convince me or a reasonable person that you are in fact a junior or a senior? And from what I gathered from this particular Facebook post is that there were no other supporting documents that could be produced that would convince a reasonable person that the individual was in fact a senior, and she did the right thing. She requested a redraw, and I guess the title company gave her some flack, and she was removed from the job. So, guys, this one's a sticky one. When it comes to suffixes, you really need to be on top of your game, and you really need to document everything you can in your journal as to how you got to satisfactory evidence that this person is, in fact, a junior or a senior.
Mhm.
Um, so, if you are in this business long enough, you will come across something similar. It could either be a last name discrepancy or a suffix discrepancy, and there are ways to address it. But if you exhaust all of your avenues that you have available to you, and you just can't get there, then you just can't proceed. And that's not about being lazy or irresponsible or negligent. That's actually about doing your job. That's about fulfilling the role of the notary public, which is a disinterested third party whose one of two main objectives is to verify identity and confirm willingness and awareness. So, thanks for bringing that up because that is a great conversation that we need to talk about again and again and again and again. Because I think a lot of times notaries are, well, I'll just say it, bullied by hiring companies. And, some notaries will stick to their integrity, but unfortunately, a lot won't. And that's how we end up with epidemics of deed fraud across the country. Jen?
Yeah, I think this has speaks to a confidence problem
Mm.
that we have in the notary community as well, where we feel like, who am I to challenge the title company? Who am I to challenge the lender? Who am I to and you have to keep in mind that escrow officers and even attorneys are handed stamps when they start with their new company or whatever, like they're handed a stamp, a notary stamp, and they're given absolutely no direction. They don't know anything about notarial law. They're not showing up to Tuesday Notary Titans every week or Laura's Inner Circle every Saturday, or, they don't know Matt Miller and Laura Bewer. And you might have to make a choice between your money or your integrity. This office demands that you choose your integrity, is the bottom line. And sometimes that might mean somebody will turn you away. You have to remind yourself in those moments that are difficult, if that happens to you, that you chose the right path. You chose your integrity, even though it meant you didn't make that $150 or whatever. But I want to do something, Matt, because this kind of went over well a few weeks ago when we tried it. I want to do a little role playing again.
Oh, sure.
So I'm going to be, this will surprise everyone. I'm going to be the nasty title person that's not very nice to you. So forgive me in advance. And I'm going to call you, and I'm not going to go through the whole, let's just use the same example that you just gave. Let's just say, I said that to you. And then I'm just going to follow it up with, who do you think you are, all that kind of stuff. And let's have that conversation so that people can hear how a professional notary handles a disagreement with a professional escrow officer. Both professional, both equally trained in their jobs. Well, Mr. Miller, I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is ridiculous. We have these people sitting at the table. There does not need to be another draw. Just sign the damn thing and let's close this deal. I need to get this deal closed.
I certainly understand and appreciate the urgency, Jen, but we have exhausted all avenues, and this signer is not able to convince me with satisfactory evidence that they are, in fact, a senior. And so, therefore, by statutory law, I cannot proceed. And I'm sure that you can appreciate that because you don't want something to go wrong with this deal down the road.
I don't, but other notaries do this. What are you looking for? Like a blood sample or something? This is crazy.
No, 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 nothing like that serious, but I do need to be convinced by some kind of satisfactory evidence that this person actually is a junior and not the senior or anything in between. And my personal office requires me to stick to my integrity, and I think that you will appreciate that in the long run because if something goes sour with this deal and your office ends up having to pay out, that's not going to reflect well on anyone.
Well, I've talked to the lender and they don't care.
Well, I think that that's a bad decision on their part. And I'm trying to make sure that this is a sound deal for you. And at this time, I'm willing to proceed with a redraw of the documents. Or if you will give us permission over the phone or via writing through an email that we can make correct and initial the documents as we go along.
I don't have time for this. This is absolutely insane. You are never going to work for our office again.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, Jen, but I'm giving you options on how we can proceed, and I'm hoping that we can come to some kind of agreement.
That was great. You were so good, Matt. Under pressure. I
I'll
love
tell you
that.
the secret, guys. I'll tell you the secret. And
Yeah.
maybe this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't care if they don't want to call me again.
Yeah.
Because already they're trying to pressure me to do something that they know is wrong, right? They're trying to put me in a bad position. They're trying to put me into legal liability. So at that point in my mind, I've already made the decision. If I never work for you again, that's fine with me. However, in the real world, and I think Jen will back this, that never happens. They always call back every single time.
Oh yeah, they normally will call back because I don't want to have to go through the effort of finding somebody else. But some I've been fired by title companies because I was insistent that they were doing something incorrectly. And it's just that's what we mean when we say not everybody is your customer. There's bad actors out there, guys.
Yep.
There's bad actors out there in every industry, not just real estate, estate planning, medical facilities, all of that. But I think another key, Matt, is how you keep yourself so calm. And
Yeah, it's
you're,
hard.
it's
I
hard because
I won't.
you want to be like, "Rah."
Oh yeah, I especially being, an industry leader, an advocate and working with policy, I could really embarrass somebody, but I'm not going to do that, right? I'm
Yeah.
going to try and resolve the situation and find a path forward. But I just want to point out something that you mentioned is that there are bad actors everywhere. So I think a lot of notaries think, oh, we just need to protect from the person who wants to make mom sign that power of attorney so they can empty out their bank account or whatever. But guess what? Your job is to prevent bad actors everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Not just in family situations, not just in a situation where you think someone is being pressured under duress. If your hiring company is pressuring you, that's also duress, and that's your job to prevent that too.
Yeah. And you never, ever, ever want to be in a position where you have to make a decision about $100 or losing your
It's
commission, right?
It
Like
is not worth it.
it's
You will
not worth
lose your
it.
commission, you'll lose your commission, you'll lose your livelihood. And if you
Mhm.
have to go to court, I promise you it's going to cost you way more than that $150.
And I also promise you that lender and that title company have corporate bought and paid for attorneys to represent them, and you don't. So it would be a nightmare. So thank you for that. I loved how you kept your cool. I loved how you kept referring back to the negative outcome, and instead of pointing fingers, which is this is life advice here for communication. Instead of pointing fingers, you stayed focused on the results, which would have been that's the negative impact of what they're asking. So thanks for um, play acting with me. We're
Oh, this
gonna.
is fun. We should do these more often.
I know we need to come up with a bunch of them, don't we? But Brian's been waiting patiently. Brian in California, what is your question?
That was a good thing to do. You
Thanks,
there?
Brian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, no, I going back to the junior and senior thing. I love that idea of getting it situated that we need to keep talking about it more.
Mhm.
And then on the other thing, I had a loan signing where the husband and wife both had different last names, but in the deed it says they were unmarried. And I
Mm.
and I told I emailed them after the signing, hey, this needs to be fixed. And they said they were just going to replace it. I stood my ground on
You know,
them.
that's it's interesting, Brian, because just someone who, as myself, who has worked behind the scenes in the mortgage industry, the person filling out the application initially is the one who said they weren't married.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, um, you also have a loan officer and a title company that didn't do the follow-up and it fell to you. It went through two passes of different and more than that from underwriting and all that. It went through a lot more than two passes, but that's really interesting. I've had a few where that's happened in application. They weren't married, but by the time they sat down to close, they were. And
Yeah.
things have to be, redrawn for those reasons. But that's how you can tell a good loan officer from a bad one, is they don't go back and verify the questions.
And Brian, you're in California, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in California, you have the legal right, and actually, you shouldn't be including any kind of status or title or capacity in your certificate. It should just be
No, no.
in sign of
It was
the.
on the deed.
I
The
see, but not in your certificate. Got it.
No,
Yeah.
no, it was on my deed of trust papers that they filled out.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The first page of the deed of trust, it said unmarried and all that.
Good catch.
Good catch, Brian. Good catch.
And
And then,
I emailed, and they sent me the documents 30 minutes before the appointment. So
of course.
when I got to the appointment, I found out they were married, but it's on the deed, it said unmarried.
Yeah.
And they were trying to blame me for it. And I'm like, no, you sent me the documents 30 minutes before the appointment.
I think this is another great example of why not rushing through these appointments is also very important, taking your time. We are not meant to do the job the fastest. We're meant to do the job the most correct way we can. So, um, great job doing that, Brian. Thank you for bringing that up. Did we answer your question, Brian?
Yes. I think you
Awesome.
get all the hard questions when Laura's not here.
Of course. Cynthia, what is your question for us? Remind me, Cynthia, where you are. I know I ask you this
Um,
every time.
that's okay. Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay, Colorado Springs. What can we do for you?
So with regard to the topic that you were just talking about, this junior senior thing. So when you ask for or when you're trying to get it supported by other documentation, So does that mean that whatever ID they would show you would have to show that they were junior or senior? Is that what you mean by that?
No.
Oh, okay.
What I mean is if their ID has not been updated with their suffix,
Mm-hmm.
but it does match the physical description, the visual of the person and everything else,
Uh-huh.
and you are satisfied with that, well, that meets your statutory obligation. You got
Okay.
to always meet that first, no matter what. Then, if you want more satisfactory evidence, it could
Mm-hmm.
be anything else. We always say, what else is in your wallet, right? Is there anything else in your wallet that has you as a junior or senior? And the reason we ask that question is because it would be very difficult for someone to manufacture something in an instant like that, right? It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. They don't always have something else that would uh, be, satisfactory evidence for a reasonable person. I keep saying those two phrases because that's typically what's used throughout statutory code across the country. And then you would document in your journal. You'd say, look, I met my statutory requirement with this ID and all of the information about that. And then I was given satisfactory evidence to support junior, senior, or the new married name, or whatever it is by way of this, and document that. And again, you're the notary in the chair. So if
Mm.
you're not convinced, you don't have to proceed.
Right. Okay. And then the other question is, so I'm getting ready to just go out and try to get my first signing of any, well, I've done some general notary work, but I'm selling the legacy vault and doing trust delivery. So
Awesome.
when I start to go out and meet people, and I'm just starting to get used to like telling everybody what I do and kind
Mhm.
of talking about the product and whatnot. But when I go into like meet like attorneys, or I'm going to go to like a networking event about estate planning. If you've never done one before, what are some, do you have any advice for
Yeah.
how I can come off as, so I'm not like misrepresenting my skill
Yep.
set, but how
Absolutely.
I sound confident and would still want to make somebody sign up to work with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And let me just say, you are at the beginning of your adventure with this, of your journey with this.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to feel nervous and weird and out of place. Accept that from the top, okay?
Sure.
Don't try and find ways to not feel that way because you won't, and then you'll end up not going. But here are some solid tips for anybody that is looking to do some networking in the estate planning area. There are lots and lots of attorneys' offices that do seminars over lunch, over dinner, at a local library, senior center, rec center, et cetera, et cetera. And there's nothing wrong with going. However, if they are serving a meal, they're serving drinks, they're serving something, right? I think it is in poor taste to show up, eat dinner, knowing full well you're not going to utilize this person's services, and then
Right.
walk up and try and sell them something. Put
Oh
yourself in
yeah.
their shoes. I'd be like, get the heck out of here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, what you can do is tell them in advance on your reservation card. My name is Cynthia Cadleck. This is where I live. This is what I do. I would love to come to your presentation. I won't be participating in the meal, but I want to come learn about your law firm.
Oh, okay. That's a good way to do it.
So that gives you the chance to pick up the phone and have a conversation with the attorneys. Put your folder together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about. Put
Presentation that you leave behind with them.
your leave behind, put that together, bring it with you so you can and leave it with them. Do all the normal follow-up procedures where, you send them a digital copy later, that, you do the follow-up, you send them a monthly touch point, all those things. But it is in poor taste.
Sure, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just let them know on your RSVP, I'm coming just because I want to get to know more about your law firm
Okay. Very good. Thank
and,
you.
see if we're a match. So give it a shot and then come back, Cynthia, and let us know. Matt, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just follow up with saying people like to talk about themselves. So just ask them to tell them everything about their firm or what they do. And I think you'll make a lot of connections.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you guys.
Yeah, you want to be really transparent in those
Sure.
situations.
Okay.
You know, when we
What?
first released to the CNTDA program, we talked a lot about going to those events and we talked a lot about approaching attorneys for referrals, to be a referral partner. And I noticed that very quickly that went off the rails because, and the reason it did after much reflection, and this is why we've completely revamped the marketing system inside marketing or inside CNTDA,
Hmm.
it wasn't genuine.
Right.
It
Yeah.
wasn't real. And you can't
You
do
have to, it
that.
has to be organic. Yeah. Or
It
else it doesn't work.
has to be organic. Yeah. Even if it's okay to say, I'm coming, I'm not going to eat, I'm just going to sit in the back and listen. And then when everything's over and it's all done, go shake their hand.
Right.
Tell them what a wonderful job they did.
What,
Tell them you're
what's
so impressed.
definitely,
You love to work
that's
with
really
them.
good advice. What, what if they say, I imagine it will come up at some point before I get my first signing when that they might ask, well, how many of these have you done? How many trust deliveries have you done?
I highly doubt you will get that question.
Okay. I
I
hope
highly
not.
doubt you would. And if you do, I think your best response to that is to let them know that you care so much about the estate planning industry that you decided to set up a business around it and get specially certified for it. So that you've gone beyond the basic notary training that the state of Colorado, do they provide training in Colorado?
I don't know if they do. I just did yours, but I don't know
Um,
if they do, but I'm not certain.
but
Not that I'm
just
aware.
no,
To become a
well, I
notary.
mean, notary training, not estate planning training.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I
Yes.
did ours too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can say, I've gone beyond the basic notary training to be skilled in your particular industry. And you can switch the focus from, because we all get nervous in the
Yeah.
beginning. I was nervous when I first started my loan signing business, like, oh my God, they're going to ask me how many loans I've signed. And while I worked in mortgage, I wasn't a loan signing agent until then. But you lean into your certifications, your associations, like with the NNA and stuff. And that's what bridges that gap. At the end of the day, they're not hiring you because you've done 1,000 estate plan signings. They're
Right.
hiring you because they felt a connection and they felt like they could trust you with their
Mhm.
clients. That's why people get hired.
That's great advice.
Yeah,
That
not
makes
because of
perfect
their
sense.
resume. Yeah, it's because somebody connected with you. That's why we are forever talking about no like and trust factor, right, Matt?
Yep.
Mhm. Okay. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. What a great question. Thank you for that.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Carla. How are you?
Hi, Jen. I was just going to say that most of the time, the signers with closing remarks is, how long have you been a notary?
Yeah. Yeah. How long have you been a notary? And it
S-
is perfectly fine to say that, I've started my own business because I'm passionate about helping people with their estate planning.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to go to law school. Ha ha, wink, wink. I mean, you can turn it into a joke if you want. It's it's not, again, that's not the proof they're looking for. It's do they like you? Do they connect with you? Do they feel like you're somebody that would properly represent their office? You guys, if you've been on this call before, you have probably heard me say, but one of the most impactful sentences I ever heard when I was starting my business and I was meeting with title officers for lunch and coffee all the time to build relationships, I had an escrow officer tell me, professional offices are looking for professional representation, period. And that's not just title, that's any professional office. If they're hiring somebody, they want professional representation because they're trusting you with their clients.
Mhm.
And so that's why it's so important when it comes to, building relationships that we put that effort into it and lean into our certifications when we need to.
I always think that the closing remarks when you're saying goodbye is that I think that have nothing to say more. This is how long have you been notary while you're packing up your things. So I thought possibly it's just one of those routine
And
that the
yeah,
signers would ask.
Sometimes
So
it
I
is.
just smile. Yeah.
Yeah, just smile. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a quiz. You're not being quizzed on your ability
Right.
with that
Yeah.
question. It could
Right.
just be small talk. Just like when you
Right.
walk into an office with, a leave behind or a pop in, and you're talking to the, receptionist, and she was like, "Oh, we have in-house notaries." They may or may not. That could just be a way to get out of talking to you because they're busy in that moment, you know?
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't make assumptions of what other people are thinking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But getting back to the discussion between you and Matt regarding the junior, senior, or no designation, I traveled like about almost 40 minutes to where the signers are going to be. And they were very welcoming. They're just talkative, very, very talkative. So once I start asking for their identification, the husband didn't have nothing but junior on the driver's license, on the passport, and everything that he has. But the paper, the document did not have any document, any designation at all. So
Mm.
I called the title, not the title company, but the signing company. I explained to them the situation. And so automatically they said, nothing. I said, nothing. I said, we went through everything, even the wife looked for. But the application showed no designation at all. He didn't put a junior.
Hmm.
So I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to continue. Upon getting into my car, I got this phone call. Well, as the realtor called the signers to speak to me and was really adamantly wanted me to continue. And I said, I apologize. No, there is nothing that could specify that there's no designation at all in any of his identification. And he says, okay, well, we're not going to do business with you anymore. I said, you know,
Like Matt said when we were
yeah,
play acting through it, like, I'm sorry, but this is the law, and I'm going to follow that, to the T. That's You did the right thing. You did the right.
right. Yeah. So I just want to add that. And
Yeah.
to lose out, I think was much better than like what you said, losing your commission or with that $100 they're going to be paying you. So I
Not
do agree with
everybody,
that.
not everybody is our customer. Not everybody is our customer. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate it. Jorge has a question. He's out in California and LA. How are you?
Hi. It's wonderful. It's my first call with you guys, and it's wonderful to
Welcome.
join.
Look
Yeah.
and I love it. You're brave enough to raise your hand. I love it.
Oh, of course. Well, I wanted to share. This is from Cynthia's. Wanted to share a personal experience that I've had, and kind of like how I got into the real estate
Mhm.
world. Oh, sorry, the estate planning world. So actually, I did a little bit of stalking of the whenever I would see an event, a local event coming up that it was organized by an attorney or attorney's office, I will actually reach out to them
Mhm.
and then just ask them, are you going to have the opportunity for the community to have some of these documents notarized at the event? So
Great.
then I offered my own. I said like, hey, I'll just do it for free or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, Other things that I have done is I will sponsor like the water for the
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
For example, it's like, hey, I will sponsor the water or something to that effect. So that has created an element of trust,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's very rewarding, and it's just wanted to share
I
that's
love
been
those ideas.
successful. Yeah.
I've done, Matt will remember this, or anybody that was at the NNA conference last year. I've done water bottles, and it's really cheap to make your own personal labels for the water bottles and just wrap them around there. They stick on, and it's advertising in somebody's hand that they're carrying around all day. So I love that. But yeah, Cynthia, that is a great idea that Jorge has to contact these attorneys. I got your flyer. I'm a local notary who specializes in estate planning documents. Do you need, is this a benefit you want to add, or can I sponsor something? Can I bring something to
I love
this
that.
event?
I
Yeah.
love that. That's great. Thank you so much, Jorge. Jorge.
Of course, absolutely. A
And the
pleasure.
same applies, you guys, to title companies, to medical facilities. Sometimes they're having health fairs, or like your senior center has something. Don't, the sky's the limit when it comes to marketing, right? It is simply a way to engage in relationship building with intention. So start thinking about it that way versus sales. Because when we start thinking about sales, that's when we all freak out like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But welcome to the call, Jorge. Welcome to the
Thank
business.
you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so
Keep
much.
coming back every week. We'll be excited to have
Absolutely.
you back.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
You got it. Brian, do you have another question for us? Brian? Oh, there you are.
No, I had another idea for marketing I'm
Okay.
working on right now is like the little campaign yard signs. I'm thinking setting one of those up in a new housing development and
Hmm.
all that going in their permission. They asked if I could put it out there in
Yeah.
their yards and see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can see that that could get a little pricey depending on the size of the neighborhood or whatever. But I'm a big believer that there's no bad marketing ideas. Some work better than others. Some, have been tested enough to where I'll tell you, ones that have been tested enough that don't work but cost an awful lot of money is mailing out a flyer or a postcard. They just don't translate well. So I've learned that through the coaching and talking to you guys every week. You've let me know, but yeah, I don't think there's a bad idea. It's just trying new things. And making sure you stay within your budget, of course. That's the
Then the
hard
other
part.
thing I'm trying out right now is I made little stickers that I can go and put at the gas station and put my QR code right there for them to scan.
Oh, there
Oh,
you
how
go. Yeah.
fun.
That'll be interesting. You have to keep us posted on how much business comes in. Make sure you're tracking that so you know if it's worthwhile to do it again, right?
I only did like a test batch of 30 stickers so far.
Cool. Let us know how it goes. I'm interested to hear. Like I
I'm
said, there's no
interested to
there's no
hear.
bad idea. You just have to test it, guys. You have to
Yep.
test it, right? Thank you, Brian. Let's get to our last question, which is coming from Rochelle in Washington. Hey, Rochelle, who
Hey,
got a
Jen.
haircut. How are you?
I did. I got a haircut and I'm finally on the mend. I had a stick
Great.
for 2 weeks.
Ugh, yeah, there's
Yes.
crap going around. What can we do
And
for you today?
um my calendar, my schedules of the Mariners and putting my card on top, I made a new card for it.
Hmm.
When I hand them out at my signings, people love them.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Great.
great
So,
marketing tip.
yeah. And it's something that I did when I was a real estate broker. And I did it with the Seahawks schedules. And so
Hmm.
I thought I'd test the market this time with the Mariners because it's spring training right now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's been a hit.
I love that.
Great. That's great.
It's a great idea. You know what we need to do one day, Matt? One of these Tuesdays, we need to have just a marketing focus call and have
Yeah.
everybody, bring their marketing ideas to share because what you're hearing is might spark something different in your head, and it's these in-person marketing experiences can be difficult enough if you're an introvert and stuff. So hearing what works with other people is so empowering. I love that it's working for you, Rochelle. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I have my 55 plus resource coming up. Um,
Oh, good.
yeah, that's coming up next month in a couple weeks. So I'm excited about that too. I've got all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff I'm putting out um,
Well,
for
and
them.
what it reinforces, and I just want to point this out, it reinforces your connection to the community. You're
Mhm.
talking about something happening locally. That's hyper local marketing. That's building your know, like, and trust factor. That is how you build a business, my friends. Okay, we are at the end of the call, but I want to thank everybody for spending the hour with us today. I'm going to put Matt on the spot.
And I don't have my book with me today.
Okay, well, let's just say because I meant to think of something and of course got sidetracked. So let's just tell everybody to have an amazing, amazing week. And we will see you next time on Tuesday, Notary Titans. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. See you next week.